Winning the millennial vote, we know that's going to be a key in the 2016 election. And right now, well, their votes seem to be up for grab. Right now, half of them call themselves independent. Also, trust, a major issue for millennials. Only 19% say they trust others, and this could make it difficult for certain candidates. Wink, wink. So, who's going to win over these young voters? Joining me now, Meghan McCain, Fox News contributor, and back with me, Kirsten Haglund. Meghan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so the millennials seem to be up for grabs. Who's going to win them and how?
Not surprised by the 19% trust.
On the trust thing. Why?
Not surprised at all. Because when you're sold hope and change when you're young, and then the world turns out the way it is now, 8 years later, of course you're not going to believe any BS handed out by any politician. 67% of millennials voted for Obama in the last election cycle. So even though 50% of them identify as independent, they still swayed to the left. So right now, this election is really battleground for Republicans reaching out to millennials. And I think they can get it because millennials, in my experience, and I'm a millennial, even though I'm on the older end, they just want authenticity. They just want someone who's going to keep it real, even if it's ugly.
But here's the thing, Kirsten. They also, you mentioned reaching out. I'm not sure if I've seen, outside of Rand Paul, who's been very visible, very upfront about his outreach to millennials and blacks and Hispanics and that kind of thing, I don't see a general effort to get the millennials. Maybe it's too early in the game, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. And it's unfortunate because they are so up for grabs and they are so disillusioned. But in talking to a lot of young people, they like the Marco Rubios. They are intrigued by Donald Trump and Ben Carson. They want someone who's inspirational, and they love the political outsiders. So that's where you're really going to see some energy coming from this campaign. Where you're not going to see it is with Jeb Bush, because, you know, the Bush and the Clinton thing, it's that lack of trust in institutions. It's old Washington. They want to look for a way forward.
I also think that the most important thing is going to be communicating with millennials in their mediums and not belittling it. Carly Fiorina actually does a lot of interviews with really conservative blogger space, does YouTube interviews, things that traditional candidates maybe might think is below them. I think that's going to be really important. I also think...
What about getting in a bathtub with Fruit Loops?
I think
no?
I think that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
You like that
they
one?
should totally use YouTube, though. I mean, this is that would be a huge marketing boost for them. You know, but the other thing about millennials is just the fact that you've got several candidates who haven't really talked about anything but social issues. And yes, the Planned Parenthood scandal was huge. I'm pro-life. I think we should be talking about it. But millennials, they clue out when you talk about social issues. They're very liberal in that respect. So long as they stick to the economy and financial issues, they can possibly get some millennial voters.
I agree that you can't make it all about social issues, which Republicans have done in the past, or the media has spun it.
But isn't it really all about, first and foremost, the economy? I mean, isn't it about being able to say, hey, if we create an economy that lifts all ships? Because all I hear with millennials are, whoa, I'm living in my parents' basement. I've got these staggering student debts. I can't find the ideal job. Wouldn't that be the way to really kind of reel them in?
I think it's student loans, the economy. I think it's just your vision for America as well, because Obama really captured that. And I think, you know, I do have a pretty strong following with millennials. I'm not trying to humble brag here, but I think just being honest and authentic, which is something a lot of politicians have a hard time with. And again, I completely agree with you with Jeb Bush. Talk about someone who's like the map for doing it completely wrong. Yeah. And I really think, I don't know, I was trying to think about who I think millennials would vote for the most, and I actually think you're right about Marco Rubio and Ben Carson.
Really?
They're fresh, they're young. Yeah. I mean, I think the young thing is going to work very well for Marco Rubio.
All the data I saw most recently from Zogby showing that Trump had a big lead in millennials over his rivals. Now, this is over a month old, but he had 25%. Jeb was at 9%. Carson and Cruz are at 8%. However, in a general matchup, Hillary was really killing them all. I got my son, who's 18, at the lower end of the millennial range, loves Donald Trump. I mean, he really, and he loves him because I think he just loves his swagger. He loves his success story. He's read all about him, how he inherited this. You know, he inherited something good, but he turned it into something great. I think millennials want to be led by someone who can do that, who can actually, hey, I want my life to be that. I want my life to go from being good to great. You think who else besides Trump can articulate that?
I love Carly Fiorina. Again, I know Donald Trump has he's still number one. He has a huge following with a lot of Americans right now. But I think when push comes to shove, again, this generation has been lied to over and over again by the Obama administration.
Real quick, just give me a couple names, Kirsten. Sorry.
They want specifics. Carly Fiorina is giving them. As a woman, she represents a great young women's vote. So I think either Fiorina or Carson.
Whatever you do, don't do what John Kasich does, which is speak in front of young college Republicans and then say you're probably here for Taylor Swift tickets. Way wrong thing to do to millennials.
Once you mention Taylor Swift, they're gone.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.